I never thought a fight could change everything, but there I was, backed against the kitchen wall with Caspian's hands pressed flat on either side of my head, both of us breathing hard, faces inches apart, and suddenly the anger that had been crackling between us just transformed into something else entirely. Something that made my heart pound even harder than the argument had. Let me back up. My name's Michael, and I've been living with Caspian for 8 months now. We met through a mutual friend who thought we'd be perfect roommates, both of us working remote jobs, both relatively quiet, both obsessively organised about kitchen cleanliness. What she didn't mention was that Caspian would be the most infuriatingly beautiful person I'd ever shared space with, or that living in close quarters with him would slowly unravel every assumption I'd ever made about myself. The first few months were fine, normal roommate stuff. We'd make coffee in the morning, nod at each other, retreat to our separate rooms for work. He's a graphic designer, works weird hours sometimes, often up until 2 or 3 in the morning finishing projects. I'm a software developer, more of a 9-to-5 guy even though I'm home. We developed a rhythm, a comfortable distance. But somewhere around month 4 I started noticing things. The way he'd run his hands through his dark hair when he was frustrated with a design. How he'd pad into the kitchen in the morning, still half asleep, wearing these soft worn t-shirts and sweatpants that hung low on his hips. The sound of his laugh when he was on the phone with his sister. The careful way he'd make tea. This whole ritual with the kettle and the steeping time completely focused on this one small thing. I told myself it was just appreciation, aesthetic appreciation. He was objectively attractive. Anyone could see that. It didn't mean anything that I'd started timing my kitchen trips to coincide with his, or that I'd begun to feel disappointed on evenings when he went out with friends and the apartment felt too quiet. Then came the night about 3 weeks ago that really messed with my head. I couldn't sleep. Came out to the living room around midnight and found him on the couch in the dark, just the glow of his laptop screen illuminating his face. He looked up when I walked in, and something about the late hour, the intimacy of the darkness, the fact that we were both supposed to be asleep but weren't, it created this bubble of vulnerability. We ended up talking for 3 hours. Real talking, not the surface-level roommate stuff. He told me about growing up in Vermont, about coming out to his parents when he was 16, about his ex-boyfriend who'd cheated on him with a mutual friend. I told him about my family in Ohio, about my dad's expectations that I'd take over the family business, about how I'd always felt like I was performing some version of myself that everyone expected, rather than just being whoever I actually was. At one point, he shifted on the couch, and his knee pressed against mine. Neither of us moved away. We just sat there, knees touching, talking in low voices, and I felt more connected to another person than I had in years. When I finally went back to bed, I lay awake until dawn, my mind racing, trying to understand what I was feeling. That's when the real trouble started. Because once I acknowledged that what I felt for Caspian was more than roommate friendliness or aesthetic appreciation, I couldn't unknow it. Every interaction became charged with this awareness. When he'd lean over my shoulder to look at something on my laptop, I'd catch his scent, something clean and cedar-like, and lose my train of thought completely. When our hands would brush reaching for the same coffee mug, I'd feel it like an electric shock. I started pulling away. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but I panicked. I'd never felt this way about a guy before. I'd dated women, had relationships with women, identified as straight my entire life. The intensity of what I was feeling for Caspian terrified me because it didn't fit into any box I understood. So I retreated, started working longer hours, keeping my door closed, making excuses when he'd suggest watching a movie or ordering takeout together. I could tell it confused him. We'd built this friendship, this easy companionship, and suddenly I was acting like a stranger. He'd look at me with these questions in his eyes, but I couldn't explain because I didn't understand it myself. How do you tell someone that you're avoiding them because you've realized you have feelings for them? Feelings that challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself? It all came to a head last Friday night. I'd had a brutal week at work dealing with a client who kept changing requirements, and I was exhausted and irritable. I came home to find the kitchen a mess, which normally wouldn't bother me that much, but in my stressed state it felt like the last straw. Caspian had clearly cooked something elaborate, probably trying out a new recipe like he does when he's procrastinating on a project, and there were pots and pans everywhere, flour dusted across the counter, vegetable scraps in the sink. He was in his room when I got home, door closed, music playing. I started cleaning up, aggressively, angrily, clanging pots together more loudly than necessary. I knew I was being passive-aggressive, but I couldn't seem to stop myself. The anger wasn't really about the dishes. It was about weeks of confusion and fear and wanting something I couldn't let myself want. After about 10 minutes of my noise-making, Caspian's door opened. He stood in the hallway, looking tired and wary. "I was going to clean that up," he said. "I was taking a break." "Sure," I said, not looking at him, scrubbing a pot with more force than required. "It's fine." "You're clearly upset," he said, coming into the kitchen. "What's going on?" "Nothing's going on. I'm just cleaning up the disaster zone you left." "Michael," his voice had an edge to it now. "It's not about the dishes. You've been weird for weeks. If I did something to piss you off, just tell me." I turned off the water, gripped the edge of the sink. "I'm not upset with you." "Then what?" "Because you've been avoiding me, barely talking to me, and now you're slamming around the kitchen like I've committed some crime. I thought we were friends. I thought we were good." Something in the way he said it, the hurt underneath the frustration, made something snap in me. I turned around to face him. "You want to know what's going on? Fine. I can't be around you, Caspian. I can't be your friend right now because every time I'm near you, I feel things I don't know how to handle." His expression shifted, confusion mixing with something else I couldn't read. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the fact that I think about you constantly, that I notice everything about you, that I time my schedule around seeing you, that I lie awake at night replaying our conversations, that when you touch me, even accidentally, it feels like my entire nervous system lights up." The words were spilling out now, weeks of suppressed feeling erupting. "I'm talking about the fact that I have feelings for you, and I don't know what to do with them because I've never felt this way about a guy before, and it's terrifying." The kitchen went silent. Caspian just stared at me, and I watched his face cycle through surprise, confusion, something that might have been hope. "Michael," he said quietly. But I wasn't done. The dam had broken. "And the worst part is that I know you're gay, and I know you probably have experience with this, and I know you probably think I'm some confused straight guy having a crisis, and maybe I am, but what I feel for you is real. It's the most real thing I've felt in years, and it scares the hell out of me." He took a step toward me. "Michael, stop. I can't keep living with you and pretending I don't feel this way. I can't keep having these casual conversations and acting like my heart doesn't race every time you walk into a room. So maybe I need to move out, maybe we need to—" "Michael." He took another step closer, and now we were less than 2 feet apart. "Shut up for a second." I stopped talking, breathing hard, feeling exposed and vulnerable and angry at myself for saying all of it. "You think you're the only one feeling this?" Caspian said, his voice low. "You think I haven't noticed the way you look at me sometimes? You think I haven't been trying to figure out if I'm imagining the tension between us?" My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I have feelings for you too, you idiot. I've had them for months, but you're straight, or at least I thought you were, and I wasn't going to be that guy who falls for his straight roommate. So I kept my distance, tried to just be your friend, even though it was killing me." I couldn't process what he was saying. "You have feelings for me?" "Yes." He took another step, and now we were close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in his green eyes. "I like everything about you. The way you get completely absorbed in your work and forget to eat lunch. The way you organize the bookshelf by color even though it makes no practical sense. The way you laugh at your own jokes before you finish telling them. The way you listen, really listen, when people talk. I like you, Michael. I've been trying not to, but I do." "I don't know what I'm doing," I said, and my voice came out rough. "I don't know how to do this." "Do what?" "This. Be with a guy. I don't know the rules or how it works or—" "There are no rules," Caspian said. "It's just feelings. It's just two people who care about each other. But I've never—" "I know. And if that's too scary, if you need time to figure things out, I understand, but stop pulling away from me. Stop avoiding me. If you need space, tell me. If you need to talk, talk to me. Just don't shut me out." I looked at him, really looked at him, and something shifted in the air between us. The anger had burned away, leaving something raw and honest in its place. "I'm terrified," I admitted. "Of what?" "Of wanting this, of wanting you, of what it means about who I am." Caspian's expression softened. "It doesn't have to mean anything except that you have feelings for someone who happens to be a guy. You don't have to label yourself or figure everything out right now. You just have to be honest about what you feel." I feel like I'm losing my mind, I said. I feel like every time you're near me, I can't think straight. I feel like I want to kiss you so badly that it's become this constant ache. His breath caught. Then why don't you? Because what if I'm bad at it? What if I don't know what I'm doing? What if... Michael. His voice was patient but firm. You're overthinking this. I overthink everything. It's kind of my thing. A small smile tugged at his lips. I've noticed. We stood there, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. I could see his chest rising and falling with his breathing. I could see the pulse point at his throat. I could see the way he was looking at me, like he was holding himself back, waiting for me to make a choice. I don't want to mess this up, I said. I don't want to lose you as a friend if this goes wrong. You're not going to lose me, Caspian said. But you're also not going to know what could happen if you don't take the risk. That's when I said something stupid, something defensive. I don't even remember exactly what it was. Some comment about how easy it was for him to say, how he knew who he was and what he wanted, how I was just figuring things out. It was fear talking, fear dressed up as resentment, and I saw the flash of hurt cross his face. Easy for me? His voice rose. You think any of this has been easy? Trying to read signals from someone who's never been with a guy? Wondering if every moment of connection is real or if I'm projecting? Watching you pull away and not knowing if it's because you're not interested or because you're scared? I am scared, I shot back. I'm terrified, and you acting like I should just be okay with completely reimagining my identity isn't helping. I'm not asking you to reimagine anything. I'm asking you to be honest about what you feel. I am being honest. I'm telling you it's complicated. It's only complicated because you're making it complicated. Oh, right, because you have all the answers. I don't have all the answers, Michael, but at least I'm not running away from what I feel. I'm not running away. Really? Because that's all you've been doing for weeks. And that's when I stepped forward, into his space, angry and frustrated and tired of the distance between us. You want me to stop running? Fine, I'm not running. He stepped forward too, closing the gap even more, his jaw tight. Prove it. How do you want me to prove it? I challenged, and my voice came out lower, rougher than I intended. Stop being afraid of what you want. I'm not afraid. Yes, you are. I'm not. We were almost chest to chest now, the argument having propelled us into each other's space, and the anger was mixing with something else, something electric and charged. His eyes were blazing, his breathing quick, and I was so aware of every inch of space between us, every molecule of air. You're impossible, I said. You're infuriating, he countered. And then somehow, I don't even know which of us moved first, we were even closer, and my back hit the kitchen wall, and Caspian's hands came up on either side of my head, caging me in. We were both breathing hard from the argument, faces inches apart, and the anger was still there, but underneath it was this current of want so strong it made me dizzy. Neither of us moved. We just stood there, frozen in that moment, his hands flat against the wall, my heart racing, our eyes locked. I could feel the heat radiating off his body. I could see the pulse hammering in his throat. I could see the exact moment when the anger in his eyes shifted into something else entirely. Michael, he breathed, and his voice was rough, uncertain, like he was asking a question. I couldn't speak. Every nerve ending in my body was firing. I was pressed against the wall with this man who I'd been trying so hard not to want, and there was nowhere to hide, nowhere to retreat to, just this moment of absolute clarity where everything I'd been feeling crystallized into this single point of tension. His eyes dropped to my lips. I watched him swallow hard. Tell me to move, he said quietly. If you don't want this, tell me to back off. But I didn't want him to back off. I wanted the opposite so badly that I was shaking with it. I can't, I whispered. Can't what? Can't tell you to move. Can't pretend I don't want this. Something shifted in his expression, the last of the anger dissolving into pure want. Then what do you want me to do? It was the easiest and hardest question I'd ever been asked. Every fear I had was screaming at me to retreat, to make a joke, to diffuse the tension. But a louder part of me, the part that had been suppressed for weeks, maybe longer, was screaming something else entirely. Kiss me, I said, and my voice came out barely above a whisper. Please just kiss me. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved. Then Caspian closed the distance between us, and his lips met mine, and the entire world narrowed down to that single point of contact. It was gentle at first, questioning, giving me room to pull away. But I didn't pull away. Instead, I reached up and fisted my hands in his shirt, pulling him closer, and the kiss deepened. I'd been kissed before, plenty of times, but nothing had ever felt like this. Nothing had ever felt so right, so inevitable, like every moment had been leading to this. His lips were soft, his hands moved from the wall to cup my face, and I made a sound in the back of my throat that would have embarrassed me if I'd had the capacity to care about anything other than the fact that Caspian was kissing me, and I was kissing him back, and it was everything. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. He rested his forehead against mine, his hands still cradling my face. "Okay?" he asked softly. "Yeah," I managed, "more than okay. Not what you expected?" "Better, so much better." He smiled, and it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. "We probably should have done that instead of arguing." I laughed, the sound shaky. "Probably. But I think we needed the argument to get here. You needed to yell at me to realize you wanted to kiss me. I needed to stop being afraid long enough to let myself want what I want." His thumb traced my cheekbone. "And what do you want?" "You," I said simply. "I want you. I want this. I want to figure out what this is between us. I'm still scared, and I still don't have everything figured out, but I'm tired of running from it." "You don't have to have it all figured out," Caspian said. "We can figure it out together." "I'm probably going to panic again," I warned him. "I'm probably going to overthink things and freak out about what this means." "I know, and when you do, we'll talk about it. We'll work through it." "Just like that? Just like that." I pulled him closer, kissed him again because I could now, because he wanted me to, because it felt like the most natural thing in the world. When we broke apart this time, I was smiling. "The kitchen's still a mess," I said. He laughed. "We should probably clean it up." "Probably." Neither of us moved. We just stood there, wrapped up in each other, and for the first time in weeks the knot of tension in my chest had loosened. I felt lighter, freer, like I'd been holding my breath and finally remembered how to exhale. "For what it's worth," Caspian said, "I'm scared too." "You are?" "Yeah. This matters to me. You matter to me. I'm scared of messing it up." "So we're both terrified, apparently." "Great foundation for a relationship," I said, but I was smiling. Hey, at least we're honest about it. We did eventually clean the kitchen, working side by side, bumping shoulders and stealing kisses between washing dishes and wiping counters. It felt easy in a way things hadn't felt easy in weeks. The tension was still there, but it had transformed from something suffocating into something electric and full of possibility. That night, we stayed up talking again, this time curled together on the couch, my head on his shoulder, his fingers tracing absent patterns on my arm. We talked about what this meant, what we wanted, what scared us. I told him about my family, about my fear of their reaction, about my uncertainty about labels and identity. He listened without judgment, just held me and let me process out loud. "You don't have to tell anyone anything until you're ready," he said. "This is your journey. You get to decide how and when to navigate it." "But you deserve someone who's sure," I said. "Someone who's not going to freak out about holding hands in public or—" "Michael." He tilted my face up to look at him. "I want you. Wherever you are in figuring things out, I want you. We'll take it at your pace." "What if my pace is really slow?" "Then we'll go really slow." "What if I need to keep this private for a while? Then we'll keep it private." "You're being too understanding," I said. "It's making me suspicious." He laughed. "Would you prefer I be demanding and unreasonable? Maybe it would make me feel less guilty." "Don't feel guilty for needing time. Just don't shut me out again. That's all I ask. Whatever you're feeling, whatever you're worried about, talk to me about it." I nodded against his shoulder. "I can do that." "Good." We fell asleep like that, tangled together on the couch, and I woke up at 3 a.m. with a crick in my neck and Caspian's arms around me. For a moment, in that hazy space between sleep and waking, I felt a flutter of panic. This was real. This was happening. Then Caspian shifted in his sleep, pulling me closer, and the panic settled. It was real, and it was happening, and maybe that was okay. Maybe I didn't need to have all the answers right now. The next morning we had breakfast together, and it felt both completely normal and entirely new. He made his careful ritual tea. I burned toast. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, and every time our eyes met we smiled like we were sharing the best secret in the world. "So," he said eventually, "what now?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I've never done this before. What's the protocol for the morning after you kiss your roommate and realise you have feelings for each other?" "I think we're making it up as we go." "I'm okay with that." He reached across the table, laced his fingers through mine. "Me too." It's been 2 weeks since that night in the kitchen, since the argument that turned into a confession that turned into a kiss that changed everything. We're taking it slow, figuring things out as we go. Some days are easier than others. Some days I wake up confident and sure, and other days I wake up questioning everything. But Caspian is patient with me, and more importantly, I'm learning to be patient with myself. We haven't told anyone yet. It's ours for now, this thing we're building, and I'm grateful for the privacy to figure it out without external pressure. We still live together, still work from our separate rooms during the day. But now the evenings are different. Now we cook dinner together, watch movies curled up on the couch, talk until late into the night. Now when he walks into a room, I don't have to hide the fact that my heart races. Now when our hands brush, I can lean into it instead of pulling away. I'm learning that loving someone isn't about having everything figured out. It's not about labels or certainty or understanding every aspect of your identity before you take the leap. It's about being honest about what you feel, even when it's scary. It's about taking the risk, even when you don't know how things will turn out. It's about trusting someone enough to be vulnerable with them. I still don't have all the answers about who I am or what this means about my identity. Maybe I never will. Maybe that's okay. What I do know is that I have feelings for Caspian, real and deep and undeniable. I know that when I'm with him, I feel more like myself than I ever have. I know that whatever label might or might not fit, the feeling is real. Last night we were in the kitchen again, the scene of our original confrontation, making dinner together. He was chopping vegetables and I was stirring sauce, and he said something that made me laugh, and I turned to respond and found him looking at me with this expression that made my breath catch. "What?" I asked. "Nothing, just—" He smiled. "I'm happy, that's all." "Yeah?" "Yeah." I set down the spoon, crossed to where he stood, wrapped my arms around him. "Me too," I said against his shoulder. "I'm happy too." And I was. I am. It's not perfect. I still have moments of fear and doubt. I still worry about what it means and what people will think and how to navigate all of this. But those moments are getting smaller, less frequent, drowned out by the moments of simple joy. The moments when Caspian laughs at something I said. The moments when we're cooking dinner or watching a movie or just existing in the same space. The moments when I look at him and think, this is right, this is real, this is worth every bit of uncertainty. That night in the kitchen, when we were pinned against the wall, neither of us moving, caught in that moment of tension and possibility, I didn't know what would happen next. I didn't know if I'd have the courage to close the distance, to admit what I wanted, to take the risk. But I did. We did. And everything changed. Sometimes the most important moments in our lives don't come from careful planning or certainty. They come from arguments that strip away our defenses. They come from being honest even when it's terrifying. They come from standing in a kitchen with someone who sees you, really sees you, and choosing to be brave enough to be seen. I'm still figuring out who I am. I'm still learning how to navigate this new aspect of myself. But I'm doing it with someone who makes me want to be braver, who gives me space to be uncertain, who meets me where I am. And that makes all the difference. So yeah, I never thought a fight could change everything. But there I was, backed against the kitchen wall with Caspian's hands on either side of my head, both of us breathing hard, and in that frozen moment before we kissed, I realized that sometimes you have to let everything fall apart before it can come together in a way that actually makes sense. Sometimes you have to stop running from what scares you and run toward it instead. Sometimes the best thing you can do is let yourself want what you want, fear and all, and trust that you'll figure out the rest as you go.